All right. Welcome to Mad Men, a podcast where I watch every single episode of Mad Men, and then I give you my instant reaction. They're going to be short episodes. There's going to be no real planning, no research. I'm probably going to get things wrong. I'm definitely going to get names wrong. And I'm just going to kind of speak off the cuff. I've never seen an episode of Mad Men before, but that changes right now. All right, it's over. It's done. I can no longer say that I've never seen an episode of Mad Men. I can now say that I'm already a fan of the show Mad Men after one episode. I kind of get what all the hullabaloo was about. I never watched the show before. I just remember hearing about it, seeing it win awards over shows that I liked, that I watched and liked at the time. Kind of got resentful of it in a nerdy television fan kind of way. Like, hey, how come this show gets all this credit? Well, now I kind of understand it. Okay, I've watched the first episode. Like I said, there's no planning. There's no research going into this thing. I don't remember any of these characters' names except Don Draper and Pete Campbell. From what I understand so far, Don Draper is the guy, obviously we know he's the main character of the show. But so far, I think I am rooting for him. He's not someone you're rooting against or disliking. And that Pete Campbell guy seems to be a prick. I don't know if he stays that way. I don't know if he's in the show for the entire time. I have no idea. But he seems to be kind of a prick. And, I know that this was in the 60s, so things were different. I know there's a lot of drinking, a lot of smoking, but holy crap. So much smoking. So much, it was a weird thing where it was it felt innocent. I grew up in the 80s. My parents, early on, were smoking when I was a kid. So I grew up, just remember, eating cereal and seeing smoke in the room. And it just wasn't a big deal to me until I remember hearing that smoking was bad for you. And then I cried. I think I helped them quit. I don't know. But just smoking being everywhere was sort of a thing when I was a kid. It kind of started veering off. I don't remember smoking on airplanes. I do remember smoking in restaurants, smoking in the mall. I have no recollection of doctor smoking. I don't remember when that happened. But there's so much smoking that it almost felt innocent. Like, gee, it kind of was a better time when people were just ignorant or just clueless enough to think, hey, who cares, we're smoking. I mean, obviously it ends badly, but something about it felt innocent, and I kind of like that. And all the drinking at work, drinking before work, drinking after work. And the biggest thing that I got out of this was the culture of a woman in the workplace was ridiculous. Okay. My entire life, my mom was a worker, and my dad was a worker. They both taught. I mean, it wasn't like they worked in business or anything like that, but there was never a moment where my mom wasn't working my entire life. So to me, it's just obviously people, women work, men work. In my life right now, I am the only man in my office. I have all my colleagues are female. It hasn't always been that way. I've had guys in the office as well, but for the last, so many years, my direct office, I'm the only man in there. I cannot imagine a world where women are treated this way. It is ridiculous. And what I did like was that the women, or at least, I don't know her character's name. I think it's Christina Hendricks is the actress. She's the secretary who's showing around the other secretary. I can't remember her name. I told you, there's not a lot of research. But it was almost like with a wink and a nod, she knows that this is kind of ridiculous, and she knows better, but she does it anyway because that's kind of the norm. And she's like, you got to do this, you got to do that. It's not like she accepts it and says, this is normal, or this is great. It's just, this is what you do, and you got to deal with it. It's nice seeing faces that you are familiar with. Like, I knew her from Firefly. I saw the progressive insurance woman. I think is her name. I don't know. It's one of the insurance. She was in it for a second. I can't remember this character's name. This actress's name, Kristen Shaw, I believe. She's on Last Man on Earth. She's on Flight of the Conchords. She was in this for a second. So it's just funny seeing all these faces. And there's people that I knew from this, like John Slattery, John Hamm. I don't know if it's John Slattery. It might be. And then I can't think of her name, but she is the young secretary. She's on Handmaid's Tale. These are people that I, just by face, I knew were in the show. But then seeing other faces, it was nice to see. The creepiest part of the whole show was when I'm outside right now, so if it's loud, I apologize. It seems to be a giant motorcycle driving in the distance, or a dinosaur, I cannot tell. But when the young secretary went to the gynecologist, the guy lights up right in there and talks down to her like so creepily. And I imagine this was I don't know if this was hyper realistic or if this is how women were talked to by doctors then. Like, oh, you don't want to go around being a little tart and it's like, I'll give you this medication, but you're not married. And it's like so belittling. It's ridiculous. Some of this stuff is amusing to see. Some of it is cringe-inducing. That was a little cringe-inducing. In a good way. Like, it wasn't like, I can't believe I'm seeing this. It's like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm seeing this. This is ridiculous. What else in the show? So Don Draper's the main character. You can see that he's already a little older, and he's got all these young ad execs around him, and he's kind of, realizing that at some point he's going to be put out to pasture. These guys are going to try to take his job. But you do see yourself rooting for him. This whole thing is with cigarettes, and this is finally at the time where they can't start saying that we have a healthier cigarette. You got to find a new way of advertising cigarettes. That's basically the backstory, the ad story of it. And John Hamm's character is kind of in a roadblock. He goes and visits his girlfriend at the beginning of the show, says he wants to marry her. Really spends the night with her. Can't really find inspiration. He only kind of gets inspiration at the last moment after this guy Pete kind of tries to undermine him in a meeting. And he comes up with a new kind of idea that it's just basically tell them something that makes them happy and make people happy. And that's, the gist of it. Come to find out that, even though he's with his girlfriend and you think you're rooting for this guy, he's got a wife and kids at home. So he's pretty much, even though you're rooting for him, he's kind of an asshole too in his own way. We just see the wife and the kids for a second. He's also has to go and wine and dine a client that he was rude to earlier because he will not be spoken to by a woman in that way. So that also was like, dude, we want to root for you, but don't be a complete prick. But again, is that a sign of the times? Is that the way things were? Like, he's shocked that a woman is being an executive. A woman is taking charge. In fact, he went right by the woman and introduced himself to a guy that works in his own office. He thought he was the client because it was the man. So that was funny to see, interesting to see. And also just the way they talk to, like, they mentioned, you got to get a Jewish guy because we're working for a Jewish corporation. Maybe they want one of their own in on the meeting. Just this small-mindedness that was more accepted then. Fascinating. Well acted, well written. The production, like the art direction, the way things look, awesome. I'm always surprised, even like all these old cars. Like, where are all these old cars? They're just tons of old cars that are for TV and movies. There just must be companies that just find and refurbish old cars for movies. I don't know. Maybe they're digital nowadays. I have no idea. But these are all the thoughts going in my head. Great episode. I am interested to see where it goes. Also, we got a little moment of Don Draper. He was in, I don't know, was he in World War II? Was he in Korea? This is the early 60s, so it's before Vietnam. Nowadays you see a guy that age in the 70s or 80s, you think, okay, he was in Vietnam or he was in Gulf, Afghanistan or something like that, Middle East. But this is in the 60s, so is it Korea? Or is it World War II? Age-wise, I don't think World War II. I feel like he'd be older already in the 60s. I don't know. I don't know how old he is. I'm bad at well, no, he could be, if he's in his 40s, 20 years, it definitely could be a World War II thing. But at one point, he's sleeping on the couch, and we hear a couple bombs going off, so I don't know if there's some residual. I don't know if we get more of that going forward. That's the thing. I'm watching the show knowing that I have 89 other episodes. And ladies and gentlemen, you have 89 other episodes with me to go through this journey of a show that I'm sure you already love. And I'm just learning more about, learning to enjoy. So come with me on this journey. Come with me. Make me a made man as I go through all these episodes of Mad Men and just discover what I've been missing out on all these years and what you have all been enjoying. Hopefully you can enjoy it with me again as I talk about these things off the cuff, kind of just very casually. Maybe you'll say, hey, I remember that. Hey, he's wrong. Well, if I'm wrong, shoot me an email at mademan@fansnotexperts.com. Find me on Twitter at mademanpod. On Facebook, you can find us at fansnotexperts. The website is fansnotexperts.com. This is my first real episode. So it's August 1st, okay? This is the episode that I promised coming August 1st. Now, going forward, these episodes are going to come out on Friday. Every Friday, you're going to get a new episode. That includes this Friday. So you don't have to wait a week and a half to get another episode. We're going to get the next episode of Made Man in just a couple days on August 3rd. I think if I'm doing the math right, I don't have the calendar out, so I'm thinking it's August 3rd. You're going to get the next episode of Made Men, and then you're going to have to wait a week. Then it's going to be every Friday, at least until the end of the first season. Now, maybe I'll take a little break and then come back for the second season. Maybe I won't. I don't know. All I know is there are 90 episodes. Now, when I first looked on Wikipedia, it said 92 episodes. I was doing the math on Netflix. It said 90. I thought, oh my God, what am I doing here? I realized there are a couple two-parters that are considered 2 episodes as far as Wikipedia is concerned, not as Netflix is concerned. So I'm going with a Netflix number of 90 episodes. This is 1 down and 89 to go. So thank you very much. I apologize for all the noise that you might be hearing, the crickets, because I'm outside on my back porch. And that's it, friends. So, again, let's go through real quickly. fansnotexperts.com, at MadeManPod, mademan@fansnotexperts.com. These are the ways to find me and track me down. And just also go to iTunes, rate, review. That is how I can be found. That is how we can get more people to listen to me babble on about a show that I should have been watching years ago. I should have been watching it. But because I started watching it now, I have 90 episodes for this journey. So come with me on this journey as I become a made man.
Fans Not Experts.